In August, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced the country would mark the 150th anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi's birth by banning single-use plastic. Well, that day has passed and there's no ban in place. It appears, indeed, that the plan has been entirely scrapped. Government officials have blamed the decision on economic concerns, saying a blanket ban on single-use plastics would be just too disruptive to industry in an already slowing economy. Instead, it's going to roll out an awareness campaign. We can speak to Shibu Nair, who's an environmental activist and joins us from Kollam in India. Shibu, thank you so much indeed for your time. Is this now confirmed that that ban on single-use plastics is not going to happen soon?
So far, we don't hear any blanket ban on single-use plastics from the central government. But the policy or the intention of the government is very clear because it is being discussed from last World Environment Day in 2018, where the theme was beat the plastic pollution, and India was the hosting country, where Narendra Modi made the first, our Honorable Prime Minister made the first statement on phasing out of plastics. And on 15th August this year, on the Independence Day, the idea was to, like, when it was on the World Environment Day, the target was 2020. By 2020, we are supposed to phase out the single-use plastics. And this was reiterated in 15th August this year during Independence Day conversation. He made it clear that the country want to phase out single-use plastics. So the political level, at the policy level, the government intention is clear, but the problem is that we are not equipped to handle that scenario of phasing out, and we haven't created institutional mechanisms or process at the down level, like at the ministerial level or at the official level, to manage this problem, and plus the economic concerns, because India's FMCG market or FMCG industry is highly dependent upon single-use plastics, and it is the only industrial segment which grows on at the rate of 25% of annual growth rate is there, and it is not that easy to just check them at this point of now. It may be slowing down the process of phasing out of single-use plastics, and now the target has been shifted to 2022.
Right, okay, so it has been officially delayed, but the fact that the mechanisms haven't even been put in place, does that indicate to you that Narendra Modi's green policies are not up to standard, that he should be doing more?
Basically, like, if you look back in 2016, where the country came up with plastic waste management rules, the rule clearly says that the MLPs, like multi-layer plastics, should be phased out in 6 months, and the responsibility was on pollution control boards, that CPCB, Central Pollution Control Board, and State Pollution Control Boards. But it didn't happen. It was in 2016, and again when it came to this, EPR was offered under the plastic waste management rules, where the companies or the brands were held liable for their plastic waste. For the time being, there are some initiatives happening across the country on taking the responsibility of plastic litter in this country. Like, many brands are now heading into that. Basically, it is not just they are taking the responsibility for their waste, but they are trying to shortcut the rule by coming up with new mechanisms called producer responsible organizations, where they outsource the process of collection of plastic waste from the streets, and it is being burnt in the cement kilns. So the way, the intention of the government politically is correct, and it is green towards phasing out of plastics, but the mechanisms to implement, or the mechanism which is supposed to implement the decision is not yet ready, and it is even not, I think they haven't discussed it much. But one thing is that there is an advantage of this the decision, the political decision, because many of the states already started working on phasing out of single-use plastics. For them, this is a kind of a moral support from the Prime Minister that, okay, there is something going to happen. So there is no wrong in going ahead with their plastic ban, especially like states like the southern India, that Kerala or Andhra Pradesh or Goa.
Shibu,
or Assam.
sorry, do you mind? You've mentioned that some ways of dealing with single-use plastics is to burn them. What are the other ways that India disposes of single-use plastics? And I've also heard this is a critical issue because some plastics can take literally hundreds and hundreds of years before they biodegrade, and some will never biodegrade.
Yes. Currently, we don't have any solution for managing our single-use plastics. And when it comes to multi-layer plastics, there is no solution other than burning. And burning is not a solution. It is a kind of a compromise. It's a kind of like a shifting the waste from the ground to the environment or to the atmosphere. So that is what happens right now. And the plastic pollution issue in the Indian coast, especially it affects largely on the Indian coastal belt, where it affects our marine environment in a large scale, affecting the livelihood of people. So that is why plastic ban is very important for a local economy, especially for India. The most of the people are living on the coast, and it is very important to come up with some system to manage this.
Okay.
And yeah.
Shibu, really appreciate it. Thank you so much indeed. A very important story for the environment in India and, of course, an international issue as well. Shibu Nair joining us from